Welcome to the earthvox podcast. The earthvox podcast. earthvox podcast.
Well, that's disorienting. Yeah, I opened up the Rumble stream because we're streaming live on Rumble and X and Twitch and YouTube. And then I fired it off. Oh no, I am clicking things and really screwing everything up. My God in heaven, help me. This is what happens. This is what happens when you spend too much time trying to figure out why, when you click a tab in your notes, Google Chrome opens up a new window instead of a new tab, or when you click a link. What did I say? I don't know. I'm frazzled. I'm discombobulated. It's all right. Everything will be fine. So I had, I opened up the Rumble stream to send my quality control associates the link to the stream, and then fired off the stream without muting anything. But there it is. It looks like it's working. So please, if you're there, smash the like button and subscribe, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. There's a lot of ugly stuff going on in the world right now, unfortunately. And I don't really want to talk about any of it, to be honest, because, well, it's concerning. Israel attacked Iran over the weekend, and then Iran attacked Israel back. And I'm not reporting really on any of it because, well, we know, if you're a regular listener to this show, you know how we expose the propaganda and the entities in the Middle East and their proxies and their intelligence services. They invest a lot in spreading propaganda throughout the West, demonizing Israel for the things that they're alleged to have done. So what can you say? Israel attacked. They probably shouldn't have attacked, or maybe they should have attacked. Are we ever going to actually know? Is anyone ever going to come to the public and say, here's what we know happened? These were the things. They say Iran was days away from having a nuclear bomb. So Israel had no choice but to attack. And then the anti-Israel crowd will tell you that that's false, and Israel is just a terrible warmongering nation. And I feel like I'm more inclined to believe that Israel is actually on the right side. But really, it all depends on who you believe, on who you choose to believe. Whatever information aligns with your cultural proclivities is the information that you will be, what they call it, confirmation bias. I agree with the news that confirms my bias, that Israel is good and that Iran and Hamas are the bad guys. So there's this entire propaganda campaign that is involved in attempting to make you believe one thing or the other. And I just try to use common sense and follow the money. So instead of talking about that, because let's face it, all of the information that comes out about Israel and Iran is going to be heavily biased one way or the other. It's a really unfortunate part of the state of our culture, which we can thank Obama for, because it used to be illegal for intelligence agencies, for American intelligence agencies, to craft propaganda to use against the United States citizens. It's no longer the case. And Obama was he's even on record saying, if you can flood the zone with as much raw sewage as possible, and I'm paraphrasing here, then people have really no idea what to believe. They will believe the thing that confirms their bias, and here we are. And I actually have to try really hard not to just immediately believe the things that confirm my bias. So I spend a lot of time reading articles and listening to pundits and people I trust and people that I don't necessarily trust, and sifting through the opinions. And every week I aggregate all of those things and put this show together for you. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Leave me a review. The show is growing. Lots of new people are listening. Welcome if you're a new listener. And thank you again for being here. So I went to Bigfoot Festival. Or a Bigfoot Festival. I've learned there are many. Not surprisingly so, although it's one of the claims to fame for the Northwest, I think, as far as cryptids are concerned. And a cryptid is a Sasquatch, a UFO, a Loch Ness monster, a werewolf, mythical creatures that people have claimed to witness at one time or another. The festival itself was really awesome. Really surprisingly, I mean, for being in this tiny little town, I need to Google how many people are in this tiny little town. And of course, I'm not going to tell you where it was. If you know me, then you probably know where it was. But I do this because the scale of this festival was really unbelievable. This must be in the city limits because it says the population of this town is 284 people. And that's probably right. It's probably right for city limits. They were I think there had to be one booth for every person that lives in Medellin Falls. The Bigfoot Festival, I keep wanting to call it Sasquatch Festival because I'm a weirdo, I guess. It took over the entire town. As we were driving in, we all went, the whole family. As we were driving in, I said to my wife, ooh, I bet the people that live here really love it when the Sasquatch Festival comes to town. I personally would hate it. I would leave. If I lived in that town, I would plan a vacation for every hour that this festival was going on because people from all over descend on this tiny little village. And it's chaos. They shut down the whole town. I tried to go. Of course, I thought I should bring some cash because, street vendors would much rather accept cash than have to pay a swipe fee for a credit card, which I could do an entire hour on. It's really an injustice. And it kind of paints the picture of what kind of entities banks actually are. Everything is paid with a card now. Or your Venmo or whatever. And the banks make these vendors pay a fee for you to use your card. And with all their wealth and power, they've carefully crafted the system. I mean, of course, they want to get rid of cash altogether. They've carefully crafted this system so that we pay with our card for everything. I really think, and I'm no fan of big government control. But this is one of those things. Like, what do we have government for? In my opinion, we have government so that massive corporations can't abuse the population the way they do. And then, of course, the massive corporations pay off all the politicians and abuse us anyway. I just think it's a supreme injustice that you charge a business for the explicit privilege of doing business when they've gotten rid of cash for all intents and purposes. People act like it's a big deal that they're trying to bring in a digital currency and get rid of cash altogether when basically that's already what we have. The only thing they'd really be taking away is our ability to walk into the bank and take cash out. So this was my motive as we walked down one of the main streets to find the little market, which had an ATM for sure, right? And when I get there, get this. They tell me, no, the ATM is actually out of order. And they weren't able to give me cash back if I bought anything. First of all, I doubt it was the kid at the counter's decision not to give me any cash. But I don't appreciate that the owner is making him lie and say that the ATM is out of order and they just can't give me cash back on my purposes. I get it. You have this massive festival coming to your town to effectively shut it down. I mean, I don't know how many people showed up, but we only stayed a couple hours because it quickly became a madhouse. I mean, how much cash do you think you're going to have to keep on hand to satisfy the cash needs of everyone that comes through your little town for this one weekend? I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars, and you're taking on a tremendous risk. I get it. But also, I feel like you have a little bit of a responsibility. I mean, to conduct your business, not to give all of your cash away to tourists. But think about, I mean, you could, how much would you be willing to pay in ATM fees when the next working ATM is in the next town over? $5, $10? Man, put those fees on there. Run your business, make a profit. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? I mean, it's like people that have their businesses closed on Sunday. Like, why do you hate money? You know, when most people aren't at work and out checking out shops on the town, looking for places to spend their money, and you're going to be closed on Sunday. That's bad business. I mean, not only should you as a business owner want to maintain a profitable business, but you also, I mean, at a certain point, you have responsibilities to your employees that you're providing a job. I mean, you should continue providing that job for them. They rely on that. But I'm getting way off track here. On the way in, there was some kind of runners event. And then at the festival itself, I saw people wearing shirts celebrating this running event, Runners Fest, or whatever it was. And I thought, people that like to run are weird. Which I think technically is the scientific term for that, because I know a lot of people don't like running. And I mean, what percentage of people do you think actually really enjoy running? I mean, me personally, when I was working out all the time and running to get my cardio, I only ran because I knew that if I didn't run, the next time that I ran, it was going to suck way worse because I skipped one day of running. And I just couldn't help but wonder, how many of those people are like me? They run because it's really effective exercise, which it is. And they know that if they don't run, they're going to be miserable the next time they actually do. If that's what I mean, I avoid running like the plague, obviously. Look at me. The video is streaming on Rumble and X and Twitch and YouTube. Check it out. Share it. Give me a like. I also saw a yard sale. Someone was very clever. And near the fringe of the festival, they set up their yard sale with a sign that said, "Make an offer." And on the way in, before they put their sign up, because we got there kind of early, which was the goal. Get there before it gets hot and before it gets packed. So we walk by this yard sale on the way to the festival. And I think, oh, we should go in there and look at that. And on the way back, they had a sign that said, "Make an offer." And I realized, make offer yard sales make me uncomfortable. Because because I feel compelled to just walk in there and say, "Can I just take this?" To which, of course, they would say no. So then put a price on it. Because, I mean, that's the epitome of lowballing, right? And I love to negotiate. I love to make a deal. I love to haggle. I hate to pay full price for anything unless I absolutely have to. Just put a price on it. Stop being so lazy, you business owners and yard sale proprietors. I know it's a lot of work, especially when you just want to get rid of your stuff. But, I mean, if you just want to get rid of your stuff, don't take it to Goodwill. That's what and I hate even doing that because of the idea that this corporation now has your stuff and they're going to sell it to somebody that really needs it. I'd throw it all out on my yard with a sign that says free. Although, how awful is that? Somebody puts their chair, their recliner, their upholstered furniture out on the sidewalk and don't even put a sign on it. And then it sits there forever through the rain and the snow and whatever else. And then no one's taking it. But when I drive by something like that, I see this sign, or I see no sign, which is the point. And I wonder, is that actually free? Is that just, I mean, I feel like it's a trap. I'm going to roll up there and start loading this furniture or these pallets. I saw a nice stack of pallets out on the sidewalk. And I love making stuff out of pallets, reclaimed wood. It's one of my, I mean, I'm way too lazy and busy now, or busy and lazy, to do anything like that anymore. At least I haven't recently. But I see this giant stack of pallets sitting next to it, the road, and I think, are those free? Are those just to take? People really need to step their game up. But I was admittedly impressed with how literally amazing the Sasquatch Festival was. I mean, there were hundreds of vendors. And we got some Filipino food. And we bought some trinkets. And there was nothing political at all. Of course, it was June 14th, the day of nationwide protests for No King's Day. And they call it No King's Day because, of course, they want to create this narrative that Donald Trump thinks he's a king. And then he goes in front of the press to respond to these allegations. And he says, I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get anything done. What they're really saying with the No Kings narrative is, we didn't win any elections, but we still want to be in charge. So we're going to throw a tantrum in the streets because we don't have any power and we're really mad about it. Of course, this is the generic Gen Z crybaby narrative. But it really goes much deeper than that. And by the way, I really don't like the message that the Democrats, I say with air quotes, the Democrats have become radical. Because I don't believe they have. And if you believe it, then I think you're believing a lot of propaganda. Because the Democrats aren't Democrats anymore. The Democrats, I believe, don't agree with what is becoming the mainstream narrative of the left. But this propaganda is being pushed out to us to make us feel like half of the country has lost its mind. And we have no choice but to take up arms. I mean, there's still a day left of the weekend that things could get really crazy. But I think this No Kings protest is going to be generally a flop. Because the majority of America doesn't identify with the radical left. But the mainstream media puts it out there like this is everywhere. This is how half the country feels, or this is how more than half of the country feels, because Donald Trump is a Russian agent and Russia cheated the election to get Donald Trump into power. Okay, sure. If that's how you feel, shouldn't you be shouting from the rooftops that you want secure elections done on paper and one-day voting with results by the end of the night? If you really believe, because I know a lot of people that really believe the 2020 election got stolen. And they all want that. One election day. I heard this rumor about the election for Los Angeles mayor between Karen Bass and Rick Caruso. And it went something like this. Rick Caruso went to bed on election night ahead. He was winning. Then, get this, after a month of counting ballots in California, it was Karen Bass, the communist, that won the election. And this is another thing that they use just like polls. They cheat elections to make you believe that you're in the minority. They use all of this imagery of chaos in the streets and massive No Kings protests to make you think that you're in the minority and that maybe you should reconsider your position. But let me ask you this. Why didn't we see unrest while Biden was in office? Where were the conservatives when 20 million illegals were coming across the border? And we knew it was happening. It was on the news every day. Where was the mass protests from the conservative? Where were the conservative billionaires funding protesters against the things that the Biden administration was doing? Now, let me ask you this. If we told the Democrats collectively, somehow, it's hypothetical. If we told the Democrats, we've decided that we want you to decide if we keep the American Constitution, how do you think they would vote? Would they all get really introspective and say, oh, well, this is America and we were founded on the Constitution, so we probably should keep the Constitution? No. I mean, do you think they would? Do you think they would decide to keep the Constitution? The Democrats in power. If we told the Democratic members in Congress, House of Reps and Senate, we said, you guys vote to decide if we keep the Constitution or if we burn it up completely and start all over again. What do you think they would say? I mean, I'm talking about the Democrats now, not the Democrats like Nancy Pelosi from 2005. Listen to what she said. This is Nancy Pelosi in 2005 when George W. Bush was president. Oh, come on.
Broken borders. That's an oxymoron, something we can't tolerate. Borders of their nature, our definition as a nation and our protection as a country. Broken borders, they don't exist. We can't tolerate them. So let's say from the start that we all in this body, and I know I can speak very firmly for the Democrats, support strong border control. And it must be part, and the first part, of any comprehensive immigration reform. It is our obligation as elected officials to keep the American people safe, and our borders are our first line of defense, one of our early lines of defense.
What a concept!
Democrats support also enforcing current laws against those who came here illegally and those who hire illegal immigrants. Yet the Bush administration has refused to do just this. Imagine that for all of this talk about illegal immigration to the United States and going after those workers who are working here illegally, and we should, But we also must have employer sanctions. Where are these people working? Why are we not enforcing the law against employers who hire illegal, undocumented people here? The Bush administration has prosecuted only 3 employer sanctioned cases in the last fiscal year. Only 3 cases. When, yes, when are we going to take this issue seriously? Mr. Speaker, we all know what we must do. Democrats have long called for strong border security, effective law enforcement, and for comprehensive immigration reform. In all that we must do as elected officials, we have the responsibility to make the American people safer and to make America stronger.
Boy, I wish we had Democrats like that still. Instead, the entire Democrat Party and the left has lost its mind. And this is Obama. Post George W. Bush, when Nancy Pelosi made that speech.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill.
So what happens? I mean, of course, we didn't need to pass a bill. That's been in the news this week. And in previous weeks since Trump took office. We didn't need a bill. We just needed enforcement of laws. But here are these Democrats coming out and telling us that we need some kind of legislation to keep our borders strong until Trump takes office. And then it becomes a giant problem. Then there's massive financing. And for what? Well, this is what ICE was actually doing. This is what they were actually doing. See, that never came up in the conversation, did it? It was, ICE was there conducting raids, and then everyone assumed that it was because they were just deporting people. Here's Tory Branham's post to, I don't know, TikTok or whatever.
So the riots got started in Los Angeles, not because ICE was going in and arresting people who came here illegally, but because the fashion district had an investigation going on where they were smuggling and laundering money in from Mexico and Colombia. They did not report over 80 million in goods, and they did not pay over 17 million in taxes. So it's tax evasion. And of course, the Mexican president decided she would put in her 2 cents and say that the Mexican protesters that basically attacked ICE were heroes. So basically, these rioters were just interrupting an investigation, and they've gaslighted this community of high-strung people to believe that it was because people were being deported, which then lands the Unified School District of LA to get on a press conference and say, if you don't feel safe, we can use our schools as a safe place, even over the summer, basically saying they're going to harbor illegals. And all of a sudden, it's just turned into something that it wasn't before.
Yeah, and we've got more to talk about on the front of the Mexican president and a Mexican senator from Doge AI at Doge AI _gov writes, the ICE operations targeted criminal enterprises laundering cartel cash through LA's fashion district. 97 million in fraud, tax evasion, and customs violation. Ambiance Apparel's $80 million scheme proves this wasn't, quote, immigration enforcement, but a legitimate crackdown on financial crimes. California's refusal to cooperate with lawful investigations reveals a pattern. Obstruct justice, then blame DC when their narrative collapses. So does
So
it become a little bit more clear?
Riots got started in
Quiet, you. Not about immigration at all. And again, I say, if this was such a polarizing, passionate issue, then where are the protesters on both sides? Well, maybe it's because it's not actually a passionate, polarizing issue. But this is why they get really mad.
So do you want to know what all this craziness in LA is really about? The riots, the organized protests, and the current chaos unfolding in the sanctuary city known as Los Angeles?
Please tell me, sir.
Well, it's not organic, and it's definitely not random.
No shit.
It's actually a calculated move by the leftist ruling class to protect the one thing that keeps them in power: census-based political control.
This is what makes it big for the local politicians. They don't really care about the criminal cartels laundering money into the United States and out of the United States, which is another reason why the Mexican president and Mexican politicians are upset, because Trump wants to tax the money that these immigrants, Mexican immigrants, earn in the United States and send back to Mexico. All right, back to this man.
House seats and electoral votes.
Let's back it up a little bit.
To protect the one thing that keeps them in power: census-based political control. You see, House seats and electoral votes aren't based on how many citizens live in a state, just how many people are counted in that state, and that includes illegal aliens. They are counted as well. So when over 10 million plus flood across the border into blue states like New York and California over the last 4 years, it's not about compassion, it's about math. More bodies equals more power in Congress. But now, mass deportations and people fleeing these blue states are threatening that math. For every 740,000 illegal aliens that are deported from a blue state is one congressional seat in 2030. And if that trend continues, the DNC just doesn't lose votes. They lose control, and likely for good. This is why they would burn a city down like LA to stop Trump. This is why we're seeing the panic. Media hysteria to stop deportations, state-level obstruction to protect population counts, protests and riots like we're seeing in LA designed to bait the feds and flip the narrative. This was never about human rights or compassion. They don't care about you. They don't care about your safety. They only care about control and power. It's political survival, and the census is the real battlefield. Let me know what you think in the comments, and hit that follow.
Yeah, like, subscribe, and share with everyone you know. This is also why I lost my train of thought. This is why they haven't appeared to care about the public perception of anything that they've done in the past years. And this is why they lost in 2024. Because it's been so blatantly obvious. So now Trump starts deporting their voters. I mean, this is why they freaked out in 2020 about the citizenship question. Remember, Trump wanted to put the question of, are you an American citizen, on the 2020 census? And everybody lost their mind. And then ultimately, this headline from NBC News: Supreme Court tosses citizenship question from 2020 census forms, a victory for Democratic states. Why is it a victory for Democratic states if what that man in that last video just said isn't true? Why do we have massive false flag style protests being funded by Democrats if they're not using illegal immigration and giving voting rights to illegal immigrants to create one-party rule in the country? This is why they've launched this massive operation. because Trump is deporting their voters. They have a massive operation in place to disenfranchise you and the power of your vote. So Trump sends in the National Guard. He effectively takes the National Guard away from Gavin Newsom. And then he sends in the Marines. From the New York Post, 700 Marines. And man, this all feels like such old news because this was just happening shortly after the show wrapped last week. The New York Post headline, 700 Marines will deploy to Los Angeles after Hegseth warned California to control the riots. They don't want to control the riots. They love the riots. They want the riots. And these protests only garnered about 1,000 people. No King's Day popped off pretty heavily. I think one city had 20,000 people, which is actually kind of small and pathetic because of how many illegal immigrants there actually are in these places. Only 20,000 were actually brave enough to show up. But I mean, part of the reason for that is that the police aren't allowed to interfere. There's even, I heard rumors that I wasn't really able to concretely verify that most like excessive force lawsuits against the police aren't even litigated. They're just settled because they want to neuter the police. And this was all part of the plan. Now the police are too afraid to actually do their jobs because these leftists sue for excessive force and the city just pays them, or the county, or whoever is the other party. And I think they also want the National Guard to be deployed a little bit. They want the military to come in because of the chaotic optics it provides. And then Gavin Newsom rolls out and says, "Oh, you see, this is Trump. This is Trump." And then, oh man, this was so. Did you see the video of the soldier that joined the protesters? As soon as I saw this video, let's watch it. The text from Libs of TikTok reads, "This allegedly is a military member who joined an anti-ICE protest in Dallas to protest Trump."
We are not pawns for Donald Trump's agenda. Why now? It's because the military was called upon innocent protesters.
And there she is. She's all decked out. She's got her fatigues on, or whatever they're called, with her hat and her little iron-on badges, or whatever they are.
We, in our oath to serve, we serve the people of the United States. The Constitution, these constitutional rights are being stripped and just denied, and the military will not be pawns to that. So I'm calling upon the conscience of military members who served previously and now. We have a conscience, we have mind, and we have a duty and moral obligation to say no and resist evil. We are not.
Why is it sped up? What? Who thinks this is a good idea? And we're going to speed it up because, what? People don't have time? I mean, are they not already sitting on their ass scrolling their phones with nothing better to do? We gotta speed this video up or cut out all the pauses. I like to listen to a lot or watch. The algorithm feeds me a lot of like stand-up comedy clips. And so, sometimes it's a clip I'm familiar with that I've seen before, or I've watched the entire special. Other times it isn't. But I notice they run it through this processing that takes out the pauses. And when it's something like stand-up comedy, especially, the pauses and the timing are very important. I don't understand why people don't get this. Like, we're going to speed this video. This video is 25 seconds. And they got to speed it up just a little bit to what? Make it annoying? To maybe to make the lady sound even more unhinged? I don't know. I'm not down with it. Stop it. Stop it, people. It's not that, I mean, it's not that good. Maybe it's in some way satisfying, more satisfying for the creator to make it shorter. It's not good. Can we get a campaign going for this? Stop needlessly editing your videos just to feel cool, I guess. So as soon as I saw this video, I thought this is a psyop. This is a false flag. I don't think this is really, truly, actually a soldier that, whatever, abandoned their post, I guess they would call it in, military parlance, to join the protesters. But I wasn't sure. I mean, this was just a suspicion. Then Benny Johnson, whom I regard highly, he posted this on X at Benny Johnson. Breaking. The Pentagon has just confirmed to me that the Army soldier in this now viral video was, get this, discharged from the Texas National Guard 5 years ago on June 5th, 2020. And then he writes, quote, protesting or demonstrating in uniform is strictly forbidden under Army Uniform Code. She has nothing to fear because she's not. And isn't this funny? When Donald Trump was elected 5 years ago, she was, or sorry, 2016, 2017. That's when she joined up to serve. Then once Biden was about to take over, she got out. It doesn't say she was dishonorably discharged, but she joined under Trump, which is the point. She served her term, or whatever you would call it, and decided that she was going to get out before the election or before some sort of chaos. I'm sure she had a really nice time. I don't know, maybe she didn't. And that's why she got out. But she got to enjoy a nice, rich military under Donald Trump. Then boogied out as soon as Biden showed up. And now is protesting against what Donald Trump wants. What we all voted for. Because it's not really what Donald Trump wants. It's the things that Donald Trump said he was going to do that motivated us to go and vote for him. And who knows what she was thinking. But she decided that it was going to be a good idea to, I don't know, take a payday. I mean, do you think somebody approached her and said, here's this money? Go put your uniform on and get in front of a camera and try to garner support from other members of the military. That's the PSYOP. That's why this video exists. That's why it's been amplified to my feed and your feed. To create this perception that something about what Trump is doing is so offensive that the military is deliberately going against him. They're breaking all the rules. And they're so brave for doing this, for standing up against a tyrant, that maybe, other soldiers might also find the courage to do the same thing. I mean, this is serious shit, people. They're trying to foment an insurrection. And check this out, just as kind of an unrelated aside. They're circulating this video out there that is meant to make you believe that a girl is screaming and bawling because her parents are being taken away in real time, and it's being recorded.
Why does that sound familiar?
Why indeed? Oh, it's because it's from a movie. It's from a movie, and it's been repurposed to make you feel like this is the pain and suffering that is happening to these good people. And you know what? Some of them are good people. They're just lazy. They didn't want to go through the proper channels. They had people like Joe Biden say, surge the border, come here for your better life. And now they have to go back. And it doesn't mean that we're heartless. It doesn't mean that we're callous. It means that we have to get our house in order because we've been abused for too long by the people that were supposed to be taking care of us. And since they weren't, we elected Donald Trump. And this is what happens. I like to refer to this every time I bring up the Chevron doctrine that made all of these government agencies really mad because the Chevron doctrine, the court's ruling on the Chevron doctrine said you can't come up with your own rules and then enforce these rules that no one voted on, that were not properly legislated against the citizenry, to saddle them with fines to make their lives more difficult. You can't, government agencies, you can't abuse the citizens just because you want to. And as soon as this ruling came down, the main story that I can think of is, I think it was fishermen in New England. The government agency responsible for overseeing those operations said, now we've decided that you have to have a government employee on your boat with you, and you have to pay them hundreds of dollars a day. And this is just a new regulation. You have to do it. Sorry for the inconvenience. Terribly abusive. Unbelievable that a government agency would even have the audacity to do this. So after years of this kind of behavior, the people finally managed to get this case to the Supreme Court, who said, no more. And everybody threw a fit. Of course, there were no massive protests in the street, strangely enough. The first thing I thought to myself was, if you weren't abusing people so badly, they wouldn't have to rise up legally to the Supreme Court to make you to stop abusing them. But because you massively overstepped your authority, now the Supreme Court has ruled that you lose all of this power. Our immigration system has been abused to the point that now people have to suffer. And that's just the way it is. People are going to have to suffer. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. This is what happens when systems are abused. This is what happens when the American people are abused. Soon, the brakes get slammed, and people unfortunately get hurt. This is why we need responsible leadership. This is why we have rules and regulations to stop people from getting hurt. And when the rules that are supposed to protect the majority are abused by a very slim minority, people get hurt. And that's what's happening now. People are getting hurt. So the people that are responsible for all of the horrors are paying people to show up and protest against it. And remember, this was crazy. Remember last week when I crunched some math and I said, maybe this, if it was 450, I think it was $454,000 went to this one, this one NGO. And we did the math and we learned that it was only going to be about $200 to hire a protester. About a week later, shut up, not ready for you. Not a week later, I found this video. Oh, no, wait, stop. See, it's okay, it's a long story. Never mind, I fixed it.
I just got offered $200 a day to go protest ICE in New York. The organization was called No Kings. They said, June 14th, we're going to be protesting and these are the streets that you need to be on. And this is what you need to do. You need to cause chaotic disruptions. And they said that there's going to be pallets of like bricks and different things everywhere that protesters could use. They really want to wreak havoc. It's kind of ridiculous. Me as an American, although I need the money, I'm like, this is very, very unpatriotic. If I was to go take this money and go protest, it's not very American. It's not what I stand for. It's obviously not even, worth the time. But, $200 a day is what they're paying people to go protest. The corruption is up here because it goes way beyond these organizations. They want to destroy America, and people like me that need money are gonna go do it. I'm not gonna go do it, but people are gonna go do it. They're gonna go destroy, the city and cause chaos. It's just crazy that, they're even paying people to go do this.
And who needs the money more than immigrants, legal or illegal? I mean, name me a class of people closer to the poverty line or even below it. That's why there's no conservative billionaires funding counter protests, because they profit from this same bullshit just as much as the left does. That's why. It's not the left against the right. It's them against us. And the immigrants are the ones caught in the middle. What a payday $200 is for an immigrant that's making $5 an hour working on a tree nursery, being exploited by a leftist business owner who doesn't give a damn about them and is happy to reap the benefits of the cheapest labor in the world. Except maybe for China. But nobody protesting this. Nobody. They're protesting that all of this cheap labor is going away, that all of these oblivious, easily manipulatable voters are being sent back to their homes. Oh, they worked really hard to get those voters here, the left did. They worked really hard. Paying off judges, buying elections, installing cadaverous presidents. And now Donald Trump is going to roll in and say, oh, no, we can't have that. No more of that. So then we see posts like this on Craigslist. Now, of course, this could be fake. I 100% acknowledge this could be fake. I dug really hard until I found one that looked legit. From @GoldRaySoul, who calls himself Truth Seer on X. We have what appears to be a legitimate Craigslist ad. Compensation listed $6,500 to $12,500 depending on experience. With the headline of the post reading, "Looking for the toughest badasses in the city, Los Angeles. Seeking extremely tough, brave men for new crew I'm building." Compensation, we went through that. This is the body of the post. "We are forming a select team of the toughest," in all caps, dudes in the area. "This unit will be activated only when the situation demands it," in caps, "but you get paid every week no matter what. High pressure, high risk, no room for hesitation. We need individuals who do not break, panic, or fold under stress and are basically all-around kick-ass dudes. Physical strength, speed, conditioning is important, but mental toughness is everything. If you're not the biggest guy in the room, but you're the one people follow when things go bad, that's who we're looking for. We're recruiting those who are already hard, badass, and ready for confrontation when necessary. However, we can train you if necessary. What we're looking for: mental toughness. You keep a level head under pressure. You don't panic. Bravery. You face danger head on. You don't hesitate. Reliability. You show up when it counts. No excuses, no disappearing acts. Strength. Mental and physical. You can endure discomfort, pain, stress, and stay focused. Team discipline. You work well under leadership and with others. You know when to lead, when to follow, and how to keep cool when things get hairy." What does this sound like? If you were going to talk about a group of people that meet these criteria, who would you? What does that sound like to you? Bonus experience. Military. Except for Marines. We don't work with Marines anymore. Long story. Law enforcement or private security background. Background in crisis situations, tactical response, or high-intensity roles. Experience facing trained opposition, military or otherwise. They want soldiers or mercenaries. So in my research, I thought, I must find this. I must find this actual listing myself. I have to know if this is real. Of course, an internet search showed me nothing. It's probably the saddest, one of the saddest elements of our current culture. The internet shows you what it wants to show you now, not what you're looking for. But thank God for X, regardless of how you felt about Elon Musk of late. John Rich, country music star, posted on X, found an ad on Craigslist for, quote, tough badasses for the riots that pays up to $12,500 a week. Who's bankrolling that kind of money? But when you click it, this posting has been flagged for removal because they found it. Now they found it out. They've been discovered. So they had to get rid of it. We can't have people asking questions. We can't have people finding out what's really going on. So instead, John Rich posted the body of the entire post, which is identical to the post I read you. That is as much legitimacy as I could find for this particular Craigslist post. There have been others. Others pop up. So naturally, you have to wonder, who's paying for this? But it's not, I mean, a pallet of bricks isn't expensive. I looked into it. I went on Home Depot. I couldn't find a full pallet for sale of just the standard, reddish clay bricks. But if I bought all 420 that Home Depot had available in my area, it would only cost $252. That's not a lot for a billionaire. Less than $500. And $200 for a protester? I mean, who's really getting $6,500 to show up? I mean, I bet that goes like any job interview you've ever had. They lure you in with the promise of riches. And then they go, well, you don't have very much experience. Yeah, because I think probably a lot of American military has some self-respect, if not respect for their country and pride in what they're doing. Don't get me started on that dumbass from earlier in the show. I'll just probably say something offensive. She's obviously a weak-minded individual that probably needs money. Where's Anna Paulina Luna?
Just found a really great deep dive here from the Data Republican on X. So who is behind all these crazy riots in LA and that will be across the nation? Just like remember in the Summer of Love with BLM, remember who's organizing all that stuff. With this specifically is being funded by an individual by the name of Neville Singham, who actually made his money by pushing communist Chinese propaganda, became a billionaire doing it. He's now funding, and the guy behind all of these protests was also behind and tied to the protests at Columbia University, pushing all of that BS, if you don't remember. And then also, too, if you actually look at the social organization that's putting out these flyers, it's the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which is, and I kid you not, the actual Communist Party. So they're using Hispanics, they're using illegal immigrants, they're trying to hype people up thinking that they care, but they don't care. They would stop illegal immigration. Obama deported people. Why all of a sudden now? It's political.
Yeah, it's 100% political. And as we said, these people need money. And they know these people need money because they've created an environment where people need money. Where $200 to show up and protest for a few hours is breathing life into their culture. They can afford to eat a good meal and have some fun for once. Their life isn't dominated by misery. Yeah, sure, they don't really care about the, whatever message, whatever trend, whatever goal this protest is supposed to accomplish, but they need money, man. They need money. Don't judge me. I need money. You know I'm not political, essay. Sorry. Guess I won't be getting that shot on Saturday Night Live. And then it's the link from Data Republican. Funded pro-Palestinian campus protests. Good old Neville Singham. The LA riots were part of a series of nationwide protests organized by Communist PSL, Party for Socialism and Liberation, not Pumpkin Spice Latte. I heard that joke somewhere else. It's not mine. Feel free to enjoy it. Now the IRS is investigating. Do you think they're going to find anything? Should we have our hopes up? I don't know. Because I don't think, Anna Paulina Luna says, oh, it's Neville Singham. He's the one guy. He works for the Chinese I don't think it's just one guy. Clearly, it's not just one guy. Because Mexico had to involve themselves. Let's get to that before we play Kristi Noem, actually. From one of my favorites, the Elder Millennial, he breaks down this deal with the current president of Mexico.
Want to know the wildest part about the president of Mexico calling for Mexican Americans to protest in the United States is? It's that exact same behavior is illegal in Mexico.
What a
Article
shocker!
33 of the Mexican Constitution says that foreigners are prohibited from engaging in political activities, including demonstrations, as this is considered interference in national affairs. And participation in those activities can lead to detention and deportation. So what the president of Mexico is telling Mexicans in America to do, she doesn't allow in her own country, and she deports anyone who does it. So what she's calling for is all these illegal immigrants to protest against the deportations, when in her own country, if you did protest as a foreigner, it would get you deported. That is the height of hypocrisy. Telling people to do something in another country that you don't even allow in yours. Now I understand why the Democrats and liberals like her so much. She's just like them.
Well, the globalist elite would love for this to break down into civil war, for this to break down in a regional war between Mexico and the United States. So it would seem the president of Mexico and the senators, too, by the way, are really into helping the globalist elite accomplish that goal. This video that I'm showing you here is all, it's a Mexican senator speaking Spanish, so there's not really anything to hear.
El muro, sí lo pagamos. Pero lo hacemos con el mapa de México en 1830.
He's holding up a map of Mexico from 1830. And he says in this speech, among other things, we'll build the wall and pay for it, but we'll do it according to the 1830 map of Mexico. Mexicans were settled in these territories before the U.S. The Mexicans living there are in what has always been their homeland. And maybe you've seen the silly response to this allegation. Yeah. Mexico only owned that territory for like 27 years. Spain owned that territory for longer than Mexico owned that territory. And the United States has owned that territory for something like almost 200 years. But you can see, and I had pulled up, I closed it because I'm an idiot, the actual map of 1830s Mexico. And you know, they would love, I'm certain they would love to have California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, half of Colorado, New Mexico, and most of Texas, like literally 90% of Texas. And the Mexican government is advocating for this. And the protesters in the streets are waving Mexican flags. Why? Because they think it's actually going to happen? Because they think they have a chance? No. Because chaos is the goal. That's what we want to accomplish. Maximum chaos. Color revolution. That is what's happening here. Color revolution. And oh my God, has anything ever seemed more pissy into the windy than a color revolution in the United States? Now, like the latest sort of algorithmic push that's been coming out is 120 guns for every 100 Americans. And you know what I say? Yeah, what of it? Good. Go buy 10 more. Because the globalist elite wants to crush you. The globalist elite wants to destroy the last free society and the United States, or in the last free society being the United States in the entire world. I mean, have you kept up on global events? Do you know what's happening in other countries in Europe? Those people lose more freedoms every single day. This is the object. Color revolution. They think somehow that they're going to create enough public support to make Donald Trump resign. And how are they going to do that? They're going to do that by lying to you. They're going to do that by pumping the algorithm to make you think that there is much more support for this than there actually is. It's not real. It's manufactured. There is an entire massive globalist operation working against you right now. Right now. So what are you going to do to push back against that? Well, I certainly hope that you would share the show and subscribe to this channel. I'm sorry. I can't take myself that seriously. Although it is fun to be dramatic, and I really hope that you enjoy it. And yes, I know there's a war in Iran, and that's crazy. I really feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better, but Donald Trump has come out and said we are not going to join this war. That's not stopping the left from attacking him and blaming him for, everything that goes wrong in the world, and I guess that's not really new, is it? But don't you believe it? Keep tuning back in Sunday at 11 a.m. and I'll give it to you as straight as I can. Follow me at earthvox on X. I'm earthvox on the PlayStation Network. I'm earthvox on Steam. I'm earthvox on Reddit. Punch it in. You can find it. The videos are available on X, YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. Go to Rumble. We support Rumble here, even though we didn't really play a lot of Rumble videos. Send me an email, therealearthvox@protonmail.com, and leave me a voicemail, 701-787-1121. I'll be back.